Okay, so we are reading Seize the Day. Who is the writer of Seize the Day? Saul Bellow. Right? Okay. So far we have finished the whole novel, meaning that I told you a summary in the previous class on Friday. But still there are a few things that I should discuss with you, and I'll be retelling you the story again. Okay, so what happens? At first you need to just chalk down the characters. What are the characters we have? So we have Mr. Tommy Wilhelm. Write it down again so that you remember. Dr. Adler. Number 3, Dr. Tamkin. But we are not sure actually that this Tamkin is a doctor or not, or he uses the designation. But it seems that it was a fake designation he uses. So, and Dr. Adler, who is Dr. Adler? Dr. Adler is the father of Tommy Wilhelm, okay? Who is the Dr. Adler? Tommy Wilhelm. And then come for Dr. Tamkin. Dr. Tamkin known to be as a psychologist, and he becomes a good friend with whom? Tommy Wilhelm, okay? So how the story begins actually? The story begins with a frustration. How does it begin? With a frustration. Now, if you ask yourself that what is a frustration right now? Something that is not going well in your life, or something that is really disturbing you in your life. That's the problem. Now, Tommy Wilhelm, when you just sum up the whole novel, then we can set it up into 3 tragedies. How many tragedies? 3 tragedies. So write it down that when we read the whole novel, we go through 3 tragedies. How many tragedies? 3 major tragedies. So there are 2 minor tragedies, and 1 is the major tragedy. Clear? So how many tragedies are there in the novel, the whole novel? 3 tragedies. And you should know that what's a tragedy? What's a tragedy? And you should know it, and you should discover it by yourself. Tragedy means that a great fall. Now, according to the definition, it means that the great fall of a great hero. Okay? Think of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was the king at the time, right, of Egypt. But he fell. When he fell from his, he had been kicked out from his throne due to his pride, right? Due to his pride, and he fell and he lost his throne. So it's a tragedy. That is called tragedy. So according to Aristotle, the tragic hero has to be superior than others. But in this tragedy, we'll be finding that Tommy Wilhelm is not a superior hero. It's just a normal guy, right? So according to the modern version of the tragedy, you don't have to be a superhero all the time. Tragedy can happen with anyone. With me, you, and everyone. It doesn't mean that I have to be always in the supreme position. It doesn't necessarily mean that. What you need to do, you have to understand that it can be a rickshaw puller as well. Clear? It can be Mr. Shobuj as well. It can be Nur Alam as well. A tragedy that befalls on you, that falls on you. And then what comes after the tragedy? A great fall. A disaster in your life, right? And why does the tragedy occur in your life? Because maybe you have taken a wrong decision in your life, right? Where does the tragedy comes? Like, imagine yourself, you're not attending the classes and you're failing in the exams. Why are you failing in the exams? Because you're not attending the classes, right? So that's why it's a tragedy. What do you think? Is this tragedy written on your fortune? No. You have chosen this tragedy for yourself. By yourself, you are not attending classes by your own intention, right? And then the tragedy comes on you. Sometimes, we bring tragedies in our life by ourselves. Clear? So Tommy Wilhelm, What does he want to be? Frustration. The story begins with the frustration. What does he want to be at first? He wants to be an Hollywood actor. Frustration begins. What does he want to be? What does he want to be? Come on, be responsive. Hollywood actor, right? Can he? No. He becomes an extra. He becomes an extra. What does it mean by extra, Joya? Extra means who is not the main character, just a supportive character. Clear? So he becomes an extra. So the frustration begins. So he's failing what he wants to be. So the next position now. Now he tries to get another meaning of the life. Like he needs to do something. Look, in life, if you fail in business, you'll go for a job. If you fail in the job, you'll go for a business. Right? We're not going to give up because all the time you need to do something to support yourself. This is what we do actually. And Tommy Wilhelm was so frustrated that he couldn't become an actor, a successful actor. He becomes an extra, but he wants to be an actor, but he wasn't getting the support. Then what does he do? Then he thinks of, I need to do a job. What does he have to do? He needs to do a job, so he becomes a salesman. But he fails in this position as well. So failure, you'll find the whole novel is a story of failure. And the whole novel is something like someone is trying to get rid of these failures. Someone, Tommy Wilhelm, is failing all the time. Every step he gives, what happens? He fails. But he doesn't give up. That's the positivity he has. He doesn't give up. He wanted to be an actor, then he fails, then he becomes a salesman. He fails, then he tries to do what? He saves some money and then he invests in the stock market. Again, what happens? It doesn't work as well. He fails again. So you find that alive, whatever you do, you're failing. So what does it mean? Like God has only sent me just to become a failure. Right? So this is what the psychology of Mr. Tommy Wilhelm. Are you getting me? Are you understanding me? All of you, be responsive. So you find that the whole story is becoming a frustration. A story begins with frustration, but look, this story never ends up with a frustration. It ends up with something good, right? That's the magical of Saul Bellow, magical touch of Saul Bellow. And Dr. Adler right now, he's a successful father. I'm not going to call him a successful father, okay? My mistake. He's a successful doctor in his profession. He's very much renowned, okay? And he got old right now. He has enough money to support his family, to support himself as well. And Tommy Wilhelm, you know, he wants support from his father because the father is going to help you, right? If you fail, no matter how old you are, if your father has the means, your father is going to help you, right? Even if you're 50 years old and if your father is 70 years old or 75 years old, you'll be finding that your father is helping you still if he can, right? But Dr. Adler is completely different. He doesn't want to help his child. And he enjoys what? He is enjoying the best moment of his life. He's having massage and his son goes to him and asks for money, but he rejects. Who rejects? Dr. Adler. Why does he reject? Because he says that you are good for nothing, Mr. Tommy Wilhelm. So when his father started to reject him, and at the same time, what about his family? He has got 2 children. How many children? 2 children. And he has a wife. And he wants to divorce his wife. What does he want to do? Divorce his wife. And his wife also wants to divorce him as well. But his wife has a condition. What's the condition? The condition is very easy. Look, I don't want to divorce you because if I divorce you, I'm not going to get money. But he wants him to divorce him. But his wife says, no, I'm not going to divorce you. You have to give money for your children. Because there is a law actually. Until you get divorced, you have to pay the expenses of your family. You have to give the expenses of your wife. So you know, all the time Tommy Wilhelm is so frustrated. So what does he do right now? He invests money in the stock market, and somehow you know, he meets up with some stranger. His name is Dr. Tamkin. Now Dr. Tamkin, we don't know that whether he was a good human being or a bad human being, but obviously he was a chapabaj. Because he is to manipulate to whom? Tommy Wilhelm. How? He says that, you know, if you invest money in the stock market, 500 will become 1,000. And he starts saying, wow, this is what I was asking for, right? So Tommy Wilhelm, he invests all the money he has to whom? Mr. Tamkin, you know, had given just all the money and said, just give me the return. So Mr. Tamkin, what does he do? He betrays actually. And we never know actually whether he has invested the money in the stock market or he kept it in his pocket. But he says, you know what? Sorry, there is no return from your money. Again, it's a failure for Tommy Wilhelm. He lost everything. He has nothing to do. He has zero balance right now. Completely bankrupt. So now, what are the options he has right now when you are bankrupt? Number one, you're going to get back to your father first. Number two, you'll get back to your wife for help. Number three, you'll be trying to find this betrayal, right? Betrayer who betrayed you. You'll be trying to find him so that you can get back your money, right? He does everything. Now, write down all the three tragedies. First tragedy, he goes to, this is a minor tragedy, okay? He goes to his father and he says that, Father, just for the last time, help me out. And what does his father say? You are good for nothing. And I don't want to give you any single penny to you anymore. Just leave. And he was literally crying in front of his father. And it says that in front of his naked father. He was literally crying just for help. And his father rejected him. And then he called his wife. Second tragedy. He called his wife and says that, you know, these things are going, you know, this is how things are going with me. And I want my children, but I care for my children and I want to, you know, finance my babies. But what happens later on? His wife, he had a serious argument. With whom? With his wife. Come on, class, be responsive. With whom? With his wife. He had a serious argument. And his wife says, I'm not going to divorce you. But he says, please give me divorce so that I can get rid of your expenses. But his wife said, no, I'm not going to divorce you. Frustrated again. Then number three, last option. What was the last option? You're going to find out whom? Dr. Tamkin, so that you can get some money. So he was looking for Dr. Tamkin everywhere and he was not getting him because he's a fraud, by the way. And you find that there are some, I think this story of this fraudness is available in every country. You'll be finding that in Bangladesh, it's very common. Someone comes up in a good dress, right, and asks you, you know what, this is what I do, you know, I'm relative to Prime Minister. You know, I'm just, you know, I work with a minister. I work with a member of parliament. You know, he's my brother-in-law, he's my father-in-law. And then you do what? You start trusting him, and he uses so many fake phone calls, and you start believing him, and you start giving him money, and you start to, you know, have a chit-chat with him. So Dr. Tamkin was a kind of this guy. He was a fraud completely. So Mr. Tommy Wilhelm was looking for whom? Tamkin. And finally he got him. Where did he get him? Where? In a funeral. What does it mean to be a funeral? Mani janaja. Okay? In a funeral, he meets him and he gets him. But it was too much crowd, so he started to, you know, just push and coming back to Mr. Tamkin. But suddenly what happens, we never know to the story actually. Tommy Wilhelm, seeing the coffin of the dead body, he started crying. And we never know why. This is the major tragedy in his life, okay? He doesn't know who is this dead body. He doesn't know why is he crying, but he started crying massively. And people were thinking, wow, he must be so close to the dead soul. But he doesn't know who is he. He doesn't know it. And he forgot about whom? Mr. Tamkin as well. And he forgot why did he come here even. And he started crying, seeing the dead body. And that's the end of the story. Now, that's the end of the story. Now, the question is that all tragedies are not bad at all. When we learn this story, what we learn? What we learn from this story, all tragedies are not bad at all. Tragedies are not bad at all. Sometimes tragedies are good for you. Some tragedies make you strong, and some tragedies gives you the meaning of life. You get me? Not all the tragedies are bad in life. That's the moral of this story. So Mr. Tommy Wilhelm, what does he do actually? For a moment he started feeling that for the first time I got something. He outburst into tears, and everybody was looking at him and thinking that how come this guy is crying that much? And everyone was thinking like, he must be so close to whom? To the dead body. Clear? And he started crying. So this story ends up here, but we learn from this story is that this major tragedy has a huge impact. What's the impact? The impact is that if you just think metaphorically, no matter how many tragedies you go through, no matter how tragedies you have in your life, you have a cycle of life. It's ashes to ashes, dust to dust. What's that ashes to ashes, dust to dust? Meaning you came from ashes, you'll be returning to ashes. You'll be becoming ashes. You came from dust, you came from soil, right? And you'll be becoming the same thing. So that's the cycle of the life that Mr. Tommy Wilhelm realizes, that no matter how many tragedies I have, that's the end of me. Right? It can't get worse than that. That's the end of me. I'll be there someday. And he started to find a sense of belonging, sense of meaning of living. Because, no matter, look, everything is not, so beautiful in life. Everything is not so much organized in life. You don't think that, all the time you have the fairy tales in your life, right? There's some ups and downs in your life, and you become so frustrated. But out of all the frustrations, we need only one reason to live. You don't need 1,000 reasons to live. You get me? That's the moral of the story. Thank you so much. Can you stop that?